السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين شفيع المذنبين رحمة للعالمين مولانا وسيدنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرض مولانا حجة ابن الحسن عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. اللهم صل على ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الإمام الباقر عليه الصلاة والسلام: اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. رحم الله عبدا حبس نفسه علينا. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our deeds, our fasts, our worship, our du'as, inshallah. May He bless us all in this holy month, give us unity and strength, and hasten the reappearance of our 12th Imam, inshallah. What we'll try to do is every night before the proper lecture begins, I want to go through some of the ahkam, some of the rulings regarding fasting. These are going to be very general. They're not going to look into the very rare circumstances. These are general rulings which will affect the majority of us. Anything more specific than this, then we have to have an offline conversation. So in fasting, just like any act of worship, niyat has to be there. Niyat has to be there. In every act of worship, you must have an intention, niyat. What is niyat? Niyat, for example, when we were young, we were taught, say these words. It is not really like that. It's a good thing to teach the kids like that because then it gets into their mind. Niyat is basically, you should know what you're doing. You should know what you're doing. And niyat doesn't have to be verbalized. Even if it's in the mind, even if it's in the heart, as long as you have a knowledge of what you are doing, then it is sufficient. In fact, even if verbally you make a mistake, but in your heart you know what you're doing. Like what? Like, for example, let's say I want to pray Zohar namaz. And I know, I'm 100% clear in my heart that I'm praying Zohar namaz. But on my tongue, somehow I make a mistake, a verbal mistake, and I say, I'm praying Asr namaz. Does it matter? No, it doesn't. Because in the heart, I know what I'm doing. Even though verbally I may make a mistake, it doesn't really matter. As long as in the heart, you know what you're doing. Now, for fasting, niyat is essential. When do we do it? You can do it basically even last night or even from tonight. You can just say, Oh Allah, in this month of Ramadan, I'm intending to fast the whole month. Then you don't need to bother every single night necessarily making the intention. If you want to, you can. Every night you can say, this will bring a good focus in your mind that the next day I'm going to fast. But you can even do it from the beginning of the month, throughout the month. You can say, this next month of Ramadan, I am going to fast for the pleasure of Allah. Now, according to Agha's explanation, he says, your niyat has to include pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes, qurbatan ilallah, and two more things. This all comes under the pleasure of Allah. That I'm doing this in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and out of humility for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How beautiful that we are doing things in order to show our humility. We are such proud creatures, to be honest. We are such proud creatures, and we are sometimes so arrogant that no one can tell us what to do, right? We have this attitude, no one can tell me what to do. That breaks in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That arrogance does not work in front of Rabbul Alameen. In front of Rabbul Alameen, you have to have obedience, submission, humility, pleasure of God, complete submission over to the will of God. This is the meaning of niyat. That is the key part. Another thing is the timing of the roza. It is to be done from the start of namaz-e-subh until namaz-e-maghrib. From subh till maghrib. However, Azizan, please don't eat right to the last second of the time of daku or sehri, and don't break it the minute it becomes Maghrib time, Agha says you must allow a little bit of time before and after to make sure that you have observed properly. Hence, we have in our timetables this thing called imsak. Imsak is what? Imsak is basically a precautionary measure to say that I'm stopping 10 minutes before, for example. And once Maghrib comes in, wait a couple of minutes, 2, 3, 4 minutes, whatever it is. If you're praying namaz, then even better. To pray namaz while still not having broken the fast is even better. It is even more sawab. So then you are sure you're in the time period of the fast. Final thing is, many people ask, we have qazas of the previous year. So, for example, Ramadan 2025, you may have missed a fast. People may have missed fasts. Illness, whatever the reason, women's issues are there, pregnancy issues are there, all of these different reasons, you may miss fasts. Can you keep mustahab fasts if you have qaza of Ramadan fasts pending upon you? No, you can't. So for example, if it comes to the big fasts of the year, let's say day of Arafah you want to fast, massive fast. Let's say for example, Roze Mab'as in Rajab. Let's say for example, Pandarmi Shaban in Shaban. You want to fast, these are mustahab fasts, but you have qaza pending of Ramadan. You cannot make the niyat that I'm keeping a mustahab fast. You can fast on that day, but you must fast with the intention of qaza of Ramadan. Now, will you get exactly the same sawab as someone keeping a mustahab fast? Let's pray that inshallah Allah accepts it as a qaza and we get the barakat of the day as well. But you cannot keep basically tunkma, in short, in summary, you cannot keep mustahab fasts whilst you still have qaza of Ramadan pending upon you. Okay, inshallah that's clear with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now, we have some pending discussions, and this is going to be the final discussion on the issue of ghaybat of 12th Imam. Regarding the time of ghaybat, we believe that Imam alayhi salam is not acting alone. He has a network around him. I had given you a little bit before I left for in Rajab. Now it's going to be the completion of that discussion. So from what we understand is that he has, you can think of it like circles going out from the Imam. In one report from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, Imam says that the 12th Imam will have an occultation, will have a ghaybat, but he will have no fear due to the 30 people around him. So this report mentions 30. Okay. However, we have other reports which mention many more. So in another report we have that this is our conclusion from the report, that the center point, the focal point, the core pillar of this universe is Imam Zaman. He's the core center point. Everything revolves around Wali of Allah. The Wali of Allah is the center point of this universe. Everything revolves around him. And then around him, he has 4 key people known as the Awtad. Awtad are the very staunch, firm pillars or supporters of the Imam. In the next level of the circle, we have 7 people called Abdal. So 4, 7. Then around them, the next circle is 40 people from the Nuqaba. Then around them, the final circle is the 360, not the 313, they are separate. The 360 from the Salihin, from the righteous. So we have these circles of people, and our belief is that their age is not like the Imams. It's not like that they will live as long as the Imam lives. Imam has led a, mashallah, very, very long life. These people are not like that. They will die. When any one of them dies, another one gets promoted up. Now what about the final circle, the 360? Where do they get their new recruit from? From people not in the circles. So people are moved up and they join the other circles. Now, One of the current scholars, may Allah protect him and give him a long life, Ayatollah Wahid, he narrates something very interesting. He narrates that during the Second World War, what had happened was there were different armies or factions which were positioning themselves in the Middle East. And British and Russian forces had actually taken a part of Iran and they'd settled there and they had made their base there. Okay? And that caused so many issues. There were so many issues. There were, there were shortages of resources and food and famine and all sorts going on. Infighting and fighting and whatnot. So this one doctor, this is his narration. He says, basically, he reports that he was a doctor in a clinic, very small clinic he had. And on one occasion, a man walks in and he had been shot. So the man walks in and says, "Are you a surgeon?" He says, "Yes, I can perform surgery." He said, "Look, I've been shot. I need you to remove the bullet." He says, "Hang on, this is a clinic. It's not a hospital. I don't have the equipment here. I don't have the right things here. Especially, I don't have an anesthetic. How will I anesthetize you?" He says, "You don't need to anesthetize me. You just prepare and I'll tell you what to do." He said, I was surprised, but he said, "Okay, fine." I could see he was in need. I prepared everything. I prepared the makeshift theater. He lay down and he said, "Listen, before you begin, you let me know. The moment you are going to begin, let me know." So I prepared everything. I sterilized everything. Came and I said to him, "Okay, now I'm going to begin." He said, "Okay." And he began to recite some words. He says, the words I remember were Bismillahin Nur, and then a few other words. And when he recited those words, it was as if he died. It was as if his body just became motionless. And I understood at that moment that this man is no ordinary person. This is a special person. And he has the power of what we call, how to put it in English, I guess you would say voluntary death. Marge ikhtiyari. Voluntary death. In other words, we do have reports that some people, their souls and their spirit is so powerful that they can temporarily actually exit their bodies and actually return when they want to as well. So I said to myself, this is no ordinary person, this is a special person. I did the operation, no anesthetic, I did the operation. When I had finished everything, again, I saw that his eyes kind of began to flutter a bit. There was some movement in his body. Again, I heard those words from him, Bismillahin Nur and a few other words. And he regained consciousness. And I said to myself, this really is someone very special. And I have come across a gem. A gem has walked into my clinic. After that, we began to talk. We became friends. We began to visit one another. I would see him from time to time. And during the course of our conversations, I understood that he was somehow linked with Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. He was somehow linked. And I had built up the courage to ask him. So one day I asked him, I said, "Do you get to see Imam Zaman?" And he said, "Hayhat, hayhat. Far be it, far be it. Where is Hazrat and where am I? His level and my level. I don't get to see him. However, I am linked with 7 other individuals. They get to see the Imam. And they pass me the orders and the messages and the responsibilities. And my responsibility during this time is that I have been ordered to remain in this area, this geographical area. This is my place of responsibility." So then the doctor asked, "In that case, tell me, doesn't Imam want to pay some attention to this area of ours and remove these foreign forces and help us in these problems?" He said to me, don't worry about it too much. They are soon to go. And that same day, a telegram came. You're talking about World War II time. A telegram came in which the order was given for one of the Russian forces. They were told, that's it, time to leave. We're done there. You don't need to stay there anymore. And they left. So we believe that there is a whole network of people that are linked to somehow with Imam, and that they have these different levels, and that they are helping the Imam from time to time. There is a book which I'm currently trying to get hold of. Inshallah, pray for me that I get this book. Apparently in this book, one of the ulama has written a number of incidents regarding meetings with this network of Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Now, a side issue related to all of this, a side issue regarding ghaibat. One of the common questions which comes is, does Imam have a family? Is he married? Does he have children? Does he have offspring? How does that work? If he has a family, children, etc., and he's in ghaibat, so do they know he's the Imam? If they know he's the Imam, then how do they keep the secrets of the Imam? Because they are not ma'soom. So this is an interesting discussion. This has to be dealt with properly on its own. However, we'll just say a few things about this and move on. So there are different opinions here. One opinion is that no, he doesn't have a family, he is not married. Because if he's married and he has a family and he has children, and then children have children, and the generations go on, well, isn't that going against the whole wisdom of ghaibat? Ghaibat was meant to be that Imam remains hidden and secret. This is one opinion. Another opinion is that no, it's okay if he's married and has children, etc., during ghaibat-e-sughra. Because ghaibat-e-sughra was still a time when at least 4 people, one after the other, 4 naibs, had a physical contact with the Imam. So ghaibat-e-sughra is okay, but not ghaibat-e-kubra. Another opinion is, in ghaibat-e-kubra he can have a family, but he never introduces himself to them. He never tells them that he's the Imam of the time. They know he's a great personality, they know he's someone special, but not that he formally tells them, I'm the Imam of the time. Another opinion is this: why can we not say that the wife or children of the Imam are part of this network? That would be something to consider, that maybe the wife and the children are part of this network, and they are very special people, and they definitely are one of these trusted circles of the Imam, and they help the Imam, and they keep the secrets of the Imam, and then there's no issue. So that's one of the opinions on this matter. In addition to this, if you pay attention, for example, to the ziyarat we recite every Friday, tomorrow, alhamdulillah, is the day of Imam Zaman, and we'll be reciting this ziyarat, the one we recite at the end of Jummah, 2 or 3 times in that ziyarat we say, wa ahli baytik, the people of your household. So that could be a reference to the family of the 12th Imam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. But now I will say something a bit strange. Actually, if you think about it, seeing and meeting Imam Zaman is not the main priority. We have not been told, we have not been ordered that you must go and see him and find him. Yes, it would be a great honor. It would be the honor of our life if we were to be blessed with the sight and meeting of the 12th Imam. Yes. But actually, we've not been told. Like if we don't see him, there's no punishment, there's no questioning, there's no accountability. We've not been told to go and seek him out and find him and see him. But what we have been told, Azizane Muhtaram, and this is the focus of all of these lectures, is that you make sure you're prepared for him. You have not been told, we have not been told that go and seek him and meet him, but we have been told you must prepare for him. Hence, we shouldn't make it the aim of our life that we have to go, yes, of course, we want to, definitely we want to, we are dying to meet him. But that is not the main thing. The main thing is make sure you are prepared for him. The preparation is very, very important. Take the example, for example, of Hazrat Malik Ashtar. Malik Ashtar, the right hand of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali alayhi salam, you can say his two main supporters were Hazrat Malik and Ammar Yasir. These were the two main support. Muawiyah, curses of God be upon him, he says, I cut these two arms of Ali because he managed to kill them both. The example of Malik is a very good one. Malik Ashtar, was he not a lover of Imam Ali? Was he not dying for Imam Ali? Was he not willing to spend every second with Imam Ali? Of course. But Imam Ali alayhi salam tells him, Malik, you need to go to Egypt now. You need to leave my side and go hundreds of miles away. He says, Chash, yes, Mawla. Done. Would he not want to stay beside Imam Ali? Would he not want to be like this, the bodyguard of Imam Ali? Of course. But Imam's orders are Imam's orders. Malik, you will serve me going away from me. This could be the kind of thought we should have for Imam Zaman. That maybe we are not physically with him. Maybe we don't see him physically the way we want to. But his orders are there and he's directing us on what to do. So our duty, Azizan, is to be very, very submissive to the Imam of our time. To be obedient, to be submissive. To ask ourselves, is Imam happy with me? To ask ourselves, is Imam pleased with me, my family, my community, my Jamaat? To ask ourselves always that, am I serving the wali of Allah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you think about it, one of our key worships of Allah is to serve the wali of Allah. That is one of the key worships of Allah, is to serve the wali of Allah. Waliya Khuda has to be served. Something very, very beautiful. I'll finish with this. There was a great alim. His name was Agha Bahlul. Yes, his name was Bahlul. Probably most of us haven't heard of him. He said something very beautiful. He said it's more important than coming into the eyes of Imam Zaman that you come into the heart of Imam Zaman. It's more important. We would love to stand before Imam and meet Imam, but more than that, it's coming into the heart of Imam Zaman. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for tawfiq, inshallah. Tonight is Thursday. It's the night of ziyarat of Aba Abdullah. If Imam is anywhere, I think it would be a very, very high probability that he is now in Karbala, doing the ziyarat of his grandfather, Imam Hussein. They say that in the month of Ramadan, one of the most important things to do is to seek forgiveness. And what kind of forgiveness is the forgiveness of Allah? They say if you want to see the forgiveness of Allah in a human being, then look at Karbala, the way Imam Hussein alayhi salam forgave Janab Hur. That is one of the best examples of forgiveness. What happens? Janab Hur, on that morning of Ashura, he stands, the color goes from his face, he begins to tremble, he knows things are not right, he begins to listen. He says, what do I hear? He hears the cries of the children of Imam Hussein. Al-Atash, Al-Atash. He comes, some reports say that he ties his hands behind his back. He comes to Imam Hussein with a blindfold upon his eyes. He comes, he's thinking, imagine if it was me or you, I don't know, how would we forgive someone who has pushed our family and our children and our women folk into the desert, that our shahadat is imminent? Hur comes in this way, falls at the feet of Aba Abdullah. He says sorry to Aba Abdullah. He asks for forgiveness. Imam Hussein replies only as Imam Hussein can. He says, Irfa ra'saka ya Sheikh. Oh, my respected Hur, raise your head in honor. This is the forgiveness of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Hussein takes off the blindfold. He unties the hands. Janab Hur says, Mawla, if you allow me, you've forgiven me now, allow me to give my life for you. Imam Hussein alayhi salam gives him the permission. Janab Hur and his son, they go and fight for Imam Hussein. It is said that at one point Janab Hur and his son got separated. Janab Hur ends up on one side of the Maidan of the battlefield, his son ends up on the other. The son is struck first. When the son is struck, the son cries out, Abata adrikni, my father, come to me, help me. Janab Hur begins to run towards his son. On the way he meets Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein puts his arm around Hur. Imam Hussein helps Hur. Hur says, Mawla, what are you doing here? Imam says to him, Hur, no father should have to go to the janazah of his son alone. I am here to help you in your moment of need, Mawla. You were there for Hur. Who was there with you when you went to the side of Aliyun al-Akbar? Allah la'natullahi al-qawmi al-zalimin wa saya'lamu alladhina zalamu ayya munqalibin yanqalibun. For the quick zuhur of Imam Zaman, let's have 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.